What's going on?
Thanks a lot, Scott. You're kind of breaking up there, so I don't know if other people can hear you as well. But I'm Brad Williams. I'm one of the managing partners here at Trade Ideas, and I'm joined today by a senior managing partner. He's got one notch up on me, Dan MIRKIN. So we're here to talk you through what we do and show you Trade Ideas Pro and Trade Ideas for the web. How you doing, Dan? Are you there?
Hey, Brad. How am I coming through?
Loud and clear.
All right, good, buddy. Well, Brad is correct. I am a better golfer than Brad. That does put me a couple of notches above him. And fresh off of the ski lift of Mammoth Mountain, here I am, back again.
I mean, pick a sport, kid.
Pick a sport, kid is right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so grateful for your time here, paying attention to us. And we have an amazing show for you. One of the things that we do on this Q&A is let you know, first of all, that we are not about the suits, we're about the people. We communicate with our customers directly. Anybody can come to these Q&A webinars and hear the executives talk about the product. We're not isolated, we don't play that bullshit. We are completely involved in the game, so much so that Brad actually, while I've been too busy vacationing, because even the big guy gets a break, Brad has been deep into the testing of the technology, and we're going to talk a lot about that. But before we do, Brad, let's jump off to the legal disclaimer.
Boom.
Things that we should never have to tell you are the following. Trade Ideas is not a registered advisor, and all the information that you are going to be hearing from myself, Brad, Scott, or anybody at Trade Ideas is supposed to be construed only for educational and informational purposes only, not to be confused with registered investment advice. Oh no.
Probably your best disclaimer
yet. And therefore we have a whole disclaimer for it. Look at a whole page of stuff. Please don't sue us. Okay. This is getting important. You've heard this before. Brad, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. You ready? Get your hands up. Give me your wallet. What time do you think, if you were a guessing man and a betting man, when do you think we're gonna actually launch B+?
Yeah, I think we're going to actually launch B+ in probably about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And there's a reason for the delay, and that is that we're really working hard on making sure that we have the algorithm correct and the re-entry aspect of the software working. And that way they can bring more parity into what a true risk-on trade is, yet still adhering to stops and making sure that you're protected in the trade. So that's what we're really focused on right now. I mean, there's a laundry list of stuff that we're going to be doing to it. But we're not going to complete the entire list before we let you guys touch and feel it. So
let me touch upon, again, this slide's important for comical, but also for serious reasons. One of the things that we want to convey here is that we are a one-of-a-kind product. And what I mean by that is that we're the only ones who have an AI that isn't like all, hidden behind the scenes. We actually make our calls. We put those calls out in real time. Everyone here has been probably watching it to some extent. And you know what we're doing. We're not afraid to beat the market because the market is ultimately beatable. And of course, the lie that, passive investing and random walk and all that stuff, it's just beyond bullshit. We've tasked ourselves with helping individuals outperform the professionals because the professionals are morons. And I really am.
You don't say that lightly. I mean,
I don't. I hate calling
in the space a long time, and we've really had an opportunity to talk to a lot of different people, and you'd be really surprised. And it's super interesting to know that the active trader, the trader that's sitting there with access to the tools to make these decisions, really oftentimes is a brighter individual.
Much brighter, because as it turns out, guys, professionals, do you know what they don't do? And this is, again, something that should be obvious to most people, but people don't get it. They don't take their own risk. Every money manager doesn't manage their own money. They're just, throwing darts at a large dartboard with a lot of power behind them, so they're able to make their mistakes in a different way than most of us have to. And the bottom line is, there's a better way to do it. We've got it, and you're here for the right reason. So what we say in terms of Brokerage Plus and automating and things like that, Brokerage Plus, of course, is our gateway to allowing you to execute Trade Ideas data through a brokerage. In this case, It's Interactive Brokerage, IBKR. They're a publicly traded company, and of course, many of you are already using it and know it. So we're trying to bridge the gap between seeing our data and getting the data results. So what Brad's been doing is feverishly testing everything you can imagine so that when a Holly trade comes on, the software takes it. And if the stock gets stopped out, the software will get you out. But the key here is that there's, here's where the human comes into play, right? A human being very powerful and not to be discounted at all can see something like, oh, look, I was stopped out, but now it's turning around. This would be a good thing to get back into. So we have created that path in the software so that when you get stopped out, if something happens that the stock goes in the direction of the AI, you're not sitting there doing nothing. The software will get you back in. It's not exactly rocket science, but it is something that nobody else does because we have a very unique set of server tools that, again, are not available to any other company in the world. So therefore, we're very close now to releasing the product that will allow you to automatically get into Holly trades, our AI, and automatically manage the risk and hopefully automatically get the same type of results. That's why this slide comes in here. We're only taking 1,000 instances of the product, and it will cost $1,100 for the first 1,000. We still haven't made the price for the next 1,000, but again, we're not exactly sure. It could be as much as $3,400 to possibly $1,700. It just depends on the demand. But the bottom line is there will only be 1,000 available, and we've already taken deposits for many of that 1,000 for the $100 to kind of lock yourself into the price. So if you want to participate, you will get a chance to buy it very soon. It will be available, and it's going to be kind of like this. It's a one-of-a-kind product that has never existed in the brokerage industry before. So that's really what the purpose of this slide is for. Brad, let's keep moving. Okay.
Just a little intro slide to the
Brad, this is a slide. You didn't trick me like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put my mouse on it and everything. What are you crazy?
Well, no, because I think it's important, right? We're starting off talking about Brokerage Plus, but we've been doing this for a long time, and we've created a suite of tools really that allow you to get ideas and to analyze those and to execute them. But Dan's talking about the fully automated side. We'll go into Brokerage Plus and talk about all it can do. Dan was just kind of focusing on one aspect of it, but like our software, it does so much, and we'll try to get through a lot of what it does here today.
Well, Brad, thank you for reminding. You know what? Brad just gave me a compliment here because he reminded me of. So Brad and I, we take turns testing the software, and I kind of test it at full throttle, and Brad is testing it what's called the right way. Brad, why are you coughing? But what we want to show you is that here, this is an actual screen capture. It was done a little while ago, not today. But this is when I was going full tilt when the market was coming down, when we were selling off. And I want to show you that this is real money. So that today's P&L was something that I locked in real actual trading the downside on Brokerage Plus, real P&Ls. You're seeing a real P&L graph. That's something else that we do that no one else is doing, where we're visually displaying to you things that are critical to your success. Okay, so one of the things that you should notice here, of course, is that, well, notice in this particular picture example, Brad, which way am I going?
Well, it looks like it's to the downside.
Right. Now the market is
indicative of all these negative positions, right?
Right. So these positions are telling you that it's not negative in terms of negative money. It's simply telling you negative share size. And they're red to indicate the downside, the short in this particular case. You must be able to trade the short side to take advantage of the market, because that's really the advantage of the astute individual investor. That does not mean that you stay short, you get married to it, and you go on a short honeymoon. That is not how it works. But it works in the way that when there is the opportunity, and there was a gigantic opportunity in December to do this, as you can see, you take advantage of it. Once again, in this particular picture example, what Brad is showing you is a mixture of discretionary and automated trading together. This is something that most people will end up doing. A lot of people like to participate in the market. So don't think that you just sit there, only trade Holly trades and play golf and tell your accountant to diversify. That's just not how it works. You're going to want to participate, and we create this ultimate tool. This is, Brad, I joke about the fact that Fortnite, which is this game for kids that they're all super amped to play, that's terrible for them and destroys their mind. Well, this is the antithesis of that, but for the individual investor. This is the adult version of a kind of video game, but the game is for real, that you want to play. We have gamified the market in such a way that you can track your P&L, you can track all of your positions, and as we will show you, you will be able to do things like reverse them, cover them, offer them out. There's a symphony of tools that we've embedded in here in a smart way that just allows you to do things that you otherwise would never, ever, ever be able to do. And so this is the thing that we're probably the most excited about. Brad, let's go to the software so we can kind of show people a little bit about what the AI did today. I mean, not, Brokerage Plus, and then we'll get back to the rest of the, okay, so over here you have Trade Ideas Pro. Okay, a lot of you already have this, and one of the things that that we're really kind of very proud of is the fact that through what we call quantitative intuition, it's a mathematical intuition that we built into the software by crunching more numbers than anybody else does in terms of homework. So there's a gentleman named JC Parrots, who's a partner of ours, who's been at one of our events that we hold in the summer. He does his PowerPoint presentation. I really like what he says. He's like, I go through 5,000 charts a night. And people are like, and to be fair, nobody does that kind of homework. JC's an animal. And there's other guys like him who just pound through charts. You and I both know we're lazy. And none of us really wants to spend however many hours it takes to pound through 5,000 charts. We've done the automation of the chart, and we've done a quantitative NFL type regimen. Now, this is where I love professional sports. Okay, the National Football League. Yeah, that didn't matter. They're like, we still need to see you go do your jumps, do some bench presses, run a 40. So this combine process is what we do with stock analysis. We have algorithms upon algorithms that are watching the stock market, and they're coming up with this quantitative field based on everything that they've seen over, let's call it the last quarter, roughly, okay? Every day, like right now while we're speaking, and I've said this many times before, as I'm speaking, our software is crunching data. It is going through today's information and saying, oh, look, we started like this and we ended like that. Let's see where the best odds are. And these strategies, which we call, like for entertainment value, the players, are competing in a combine of quantitative data based on percentage success and all this mathematics called in and out of sample, Monte Carlo type stuff, where you are trying to figure out what's the best thing to do. And all of this is done for you behind the scenes. As a result, what you get is the following that Brad is showing you. And Brad, maybe could you go on the Omni AI channel and we'll talk about what that is and also tell you what it's doing. So you can imagine that these three AI channels together is our team. And each team has strategies that now the strategy names are similar for each team so that it's not confusing for everyone. And by the way, don't take quarterback literally. It's not football, but it just, it's a type of thing that we call based on some, stuff that Brad and I have come up with over the years. But
it's actually based on a 25% pullback quarterback.
Okay, see, Brad knows. Because, quarterback takes the ball and then he pulls back into the pocket and is looking for
double, triple meanings, right?
Yeah. So here, what you have is all of the strategies competing with one another on each of these 3 channels. Now, these channels are Holly Grail, the original, Holly 2.0, which is just another iteration, slightly augmented, and Holly Neo, which takes a completely different approach to the question of what to trade, okay? And so these trades are going to be coming at you in real time throughout the day. And of course, what we have talked about in the slide before we started the demonstration is you will very shortly be able to do what Brad has done, which is get into the trades when they happen. All you need for success. That is your actuator, the stuff that you don't need to know about in the car that makes you turn quickly, without which you couldn't turn, but you don't need to know the math behind it. What you need to simply know is that our software is making quantitative guesses. When you look at a chart and you decide to make a trade, do never forget that you are guessing. And there's nothing wrong with a guess. It's an educated guess. Anytime you do anything in life, it's really a form of speculation. You get into a car, you want to pick up your kid from school, you're going to guess that you're going to get there safely and hope that nobody interferes with that plan. This is the same thing. We have tons of statistical data. We pulled from that data, and we are giving you suggestions, okay? And these suggestions are in both directions. So you're never stuck in one or the other. And throughout the whole day, you also get kind of a visual framework and a play-by-play of what to do. And Brad, since you're driving, maybe you can take somebody through one of the trades and show you where the lines are. For example, let's just start on the PDC because it's so good.
This guy right here.
That's the guy.
Yeah, so over here, if you're taking a look at the chart, I just clicked on the symbol and it populates the chart here with that symbol, and then it overlays some interesting information. So it'll let you know where that signal was generated by this AI blue line and blue box right here, letting you know the price. Gives you a visual reference as to what candle it triggered on. And in this case here, this happened to be a buy, so we bought it, and then we sold out of half that position right here.
And this is one of the
visual stop as well.
Right. So you have the idea here is just like a navigation system in your car, that tells you where there's traffic and how much time you have and, which street to turn on. We give you a visual mapping of your trade strategy. So what you have here is you have your entry. Now you can visually reflect back and say, okay, well, this one clearly was really nice because it got you in, virtually never pulled back, and kind of went on right all through the end of the day. Does this happen all the time? Absolutely not. Brad, let's take a look at, for example, ATU.
Okay, well, before I do that, real quick, I put an order here on the chart. So you can see here, this is a live order, and you can manipulate those orders just by dragging the order on the chart. And you have also that visual reference as to where that is. And so you'll also have the ability to see the live stop orders that are out there and any other orders visually. So what symbol did you want me to go to?
I was going to say ATT. I want to rest on your laurels.
Well, this one was a quick stop out. This one stopped out early here. Let's kind of zoom into it and take a look. So this right here, we sold it. This was the AI signal. This was actually something that I did in Brokerage Plus, and then ended up buying it back. And a couple other little trades in there.
Well, this is where, again, we're testing the functionality of getting in, getting out, making sure everything's working. But, Brad, if you go to the daily chart, right, if you can get rid of your price alert and draw up like, let's get rid of that real quick and maybe zoom in on it a little bit so that people can see like what, no, a little bit, zoom in less. So I want to see the other price points a little bit more. Yeah, right there, perfect. So notice that you can kind of imagine, why do you think, Brad, I mean, I'm just going to ask you the stupid question, right? Why do you think it is that the software said this is a good sell? Although it didn't work out today.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it did is it found a low-risk statistical opportunity. But again, I don't know all the details behind why it chooses something and why it doesn't. It's really a variety of filters that get satisfied, and when everything is satisfied and the trigger signal occurs, that's, you know, the idea is generated. So why didn't it work out today? Because it was a short, and today it was a pretty strong market.
Well, Brad, maybe I can give you a little bit of a lesson here. Notice the gap down before on like close to November. Yeah, right here. Now look at that area right there. See how we are right at that. There was a very bit of bad news that happened right around there. Whatever that news was, we don't know, and we don't need the details. But the software knows that the last time it was here, it pretty much puked thereafter. Now, it doesn't know that the Fed, like the software does not know and cannot know that the Fed didn't do anything with the rates, and you don't ever really want to play on that kind of stuff because the way the market can be one way or the other. But it's making this hypothetical that says, hey, you know, this might be a good short. And of course, today there was that massive rally, so that didn't work out. But Brad, let's go back to what you had done and point to how an AI trade can help you after the trade is gone. Let's put an alert just above the high of today as a sell.
Well, it's interesting, and that's what I did, to be quite honest with you. I had a price alert that was set up right here, right? And at that point, when it was making that high of the day, I had already gotten out of it. It was, I had already, you know, covered my short. I decided to go long, right? So I decided to reverse it, you know, take a completely different contrarian idea. You know, I'm doing some testing, so I didn't stay in it very long, but, you know, that was the concept behind it. With the market ripping up, the initial short not working out, that was the mentality that I used.
But the idea that Brad's saying is that we are going to give you the ability to basically visually place your trades on these stocks, just like you had the limit alert. So Brad, give the example, because this also shows people that are new how limit alerts work, and we will just simply say that we are activating limit alerts activated. We're activating your alerts so that when they happen in the future, they're not just going to be an alert for you to do something, they will be an action. So here Brad's creating an alert to go short. Let's call it 44.
Oh, you want to go short? I'm actually going to go long, but okay.
No, I want you to go short, but for a reason, because we're just talking about hypothetically speaking here. Go to 44.4. Trust me, for visual purposes only. Or 44.17, sorry, 44.17, right, just above there. Mm-hmm.
And we want to short it if it pops up there.
Yeah. So what you have here is that pin, and Brad can grab that pin, he can move it a little bit, you know, if he wants to give it himself more space and whatever. But the idea here is you're saying, hey, back in the day when it hit that price on that downward move, it really puked and it just bounced big all the way from whatever the low was. And we'll talk about the swing exit in a second. But the idea here is that very shortly when you're working with Brokerage Plus, this will not only be a pin, right, Brad, but it can actually be an order that's there for you. That's what I think I was really trying to communicate.
Yeah. And that's going to be coming not in this next version here in 2 weeks, but in version 2 of it. So actionable price alerts through Brokerage Plus.
Right. And again, there's so much functionality that we already have outlined for that it's almost mind-boggling. But the idea here is simple. The AI gives you a suggestion. It didn't work out today, but that does not mean that it won't work out tomorrow. And so you are now given the tools to trade around the AI as well. And that's what a lot of people do. They take the AI and then they add their human talent to it and create a greater of the two. Okay, so that's kind of like the high level. Now, Brad, let's talk about that little dotted line at the end that says, on the daily chart, that says swing exit. Could you give people a high level of what that means?
Yeah, the swing exit is looking towards to a support level on that stock. It's looking towards a longer term support level, whereas we have shorter term stop targets for intraday trading. We're giving you a longer term look at what you could expect in a down move if you were going to be holding this position for a longer period of time. So in this case here, there's a lot more risk to taking that long approach to it, just based upon where that stock has been over the last month.
And some people have the wherewithal to be in that kind of a situation, you know, and we're not saying that you should, but the idea is that people have different time frames that are comfortable to them, and we take care of both of those time frames on the chart for you visually.
Yeah, and we're looking, you know, whether it's looking at that intraday stop or the swing exit, it's looking to some of the metrics that Trade Ideas create. So we connect to the data sources at NYSE and NASDAQ, but when we take that data, we make new bits of data, and it's forms of data that allow us to create these algorithms, like what's the volatility of a stock? Is it trading normal volatility, or is it more than normal? What about the volume? Keeping track of all the statistical baselines, so we can, when something crazy or abnormal happens, we can deliver it right to you.
Now, one of the really cool things that people kind of possibly may overlook is the fact that none of this is static. In other words, tomorrow, that swing exit will be adjusted based Apple real quick, just so people are before. So here's Apple. Notice, is there a swing exit? Brad, there it is. So if you want to so here's what our software is saying. If you're just now getting into Apple, okay, and you want to play with it, all good. And if you want to hold long term, where you don't want to get out until like a capitulation, well, the capitulation was the low on their earnings, okay? So there, the software is thinking for you. It's saying, look, a lot of stuff going on right now. In fact, Brad, if you zoom into the daily, well, not there. I'm sorry, you're already on the 10 minutes. See that there's a smart stop line. Maybe explain what that is.
Yeah, the smart stop, like I said earlier, it's based off of an algorithm, and it's different for every stock, and it's really different, almost different every day, depending on what the volatility and the range and the volume and all those characteristics, how they're happening and performing inside of that stock. So yeah, it looks to all those metrics and will deliver you what it suggests as an intraday stop. So if you're to get into a stock right now, it's letting you know that, you know, you probably shouldn't be holding it past this point if your anticipation was to go long.
Correct. So the idea here, ladies and gentlemen, is to have you not have to sit there and have the hood open and tweaking your oil valve and your, you know, air intake like the guys in the movies, but simply to be driving. That's where people get lost in the stock market. We're giving you all the stuff so that you can be driving more and tinkering less. Brad, let's do this example on a couple of other ones that people know, just so that, put up Microsoft, for example, and just go through so that they know that you can look up any stock and still be given, there's your swing exit, your smart stop, and where you are today. These are your visual guidelines for what you need. So if you want to commit to the trade, however you want to do it, you have all of the information there without you having to do it. One of the things that we love about this, Brad, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that I really love about it is that this is what you do by hand. You know, when Brad and I and all the other members of Trade Ideas, we've been professionally trading our own accounts since the mid-90s, a very, very long time. And we've gone through thick and thin. We've been in the Russian default, we've been through the dot-com bubble, we've been through the 2008 debacle of the credit default swaps, you name it, we've done it. And we're still here. So all of that information is embedded into the Trade Ideas software. We're one of a kind because the owners, the managers, the people that are building this are actually using it. Now, you know that's never happens anywhere else, especially in brokerages. In brokerage, companies hate their clients because they really want their clients just to money, so that money is managed for a fee. That's how the business works. That's the least amount of headache a brokerage can have. You open up an account, you say, hey, do something with this and have Bob do it, and I'll pay a fee for it. Because they teach you not to think. We teach our clients to think critically. That's the key to success, critical thinking. And of course, what Brad is showing you here is our channel bar. Although we don't like Netflix as a technology, what it does, we have often said of ourselves that we have kind of created the cable slash YouTube slash Netflix version of the stock market by being able to thematically break the market up, not by sector and stuff that people just don't relate to, right? But by event type information. So here, Brad is, I don't know what channel you're on, Brad.
I forgot to. I was on the Alpha Predator, which I love this channel because the Alpha Predator is always hunting stocks that are moving, stocks that are ripping, going much better than what the market is doing. So it's a really great channel to see a lot of action. But you know, we've taken, like Dan was saying, you know, we do this. We've been doing it for a long time, and we created all of these different themes for you using our technology. But it's kind of a multi-fold, you know, benefit to you. You guys, one, you get to hit the ground running, start using the Trade Ideas technology. Two, you get to see how we built these windows. You can modify any of these windows that we created to kind of suit your own portfolio, your own style, the things that you like to trade. So many different ways, but we're giving you kind of this head start through the channel bar, breaking it up into themes, into window types, you know, so a lot of good information there, giving you info on the AI. So if you want to drill in, these things light up, these numbers light up over here when there's a new trade or a new idea. So if you don't happen to be looking at the AI, just look at that channel bar. If you see a yellow light, you can click on it, take a look at that signal, pull it up on a chart and make a decision. And we do some good stuff here. If I like pull up one of the AIs, and whether it's an AI window or AI channel or one of the other Trade Ideas windows, you can right click on anything and hit this trade option here if you have Brokerage Plus connected, and you can send these orders. And these are all based upon my configurations, the way I set it up. And then I've got the predefined Holly stop and target and all that stuff in the upper option. So if it happens to be a Holly trade that I'm clicking on, I get a little bit more information, a little bit more option here to send those executions, but I can also send my own. And then if I bring in Brokerage Plus and I go right over to the Strategies tab, this is that customization that I created where I can create the type of order inclusive of stop, target, and all that good stuff, all with a right click, just by sending that right away.
And that will be your interface when we release it. It looks like something like this, and you have that bar at the top which shows you all of the trades and what you're up and down, and just some really, really cool stuff that we will be able to explain much, much more of as we get closer and closer to releasing the trades. But notice the buttons on the right-hand side. Brad, this is something I love, and again, you know, it's just the things that people should have always been able to do but can't. The reverse button, and this is, you know, that's something that Brad and I have to test on almost every kind of scenario that you can imagine. And sometimes we have to lose money so that you can make money in the future to make sure this stuff works. But we go back and forth to try to make sure that everything is working properly. But the idea is that fluidity, okay? Let's say you're in a stock, let's say it's going against you. Most people just exit, but we give you the option to reverse, okay? And that is, again, something that just does not exist anywhere else.
There's also another bit of functionality that's getting added. It'll be in the product when it's released in a couple weeks, and that is the it's kind of a new modified limit out functionality. So for instance, if I selected a couple of positions right here and I went to the limit out, this allows me to not have as much impact on the market and getting out of these positions. It's not like a flatten where I'm sending a market order to get out of these. This allows me to put in a limit order with a delta, maybe an aggressive delta or maybe it's not so aggressive. Maybe I want to put something like 10 cents away. I can do that. And one of the new pieces of functionality that's going to be added in here is the ability to scale out of a partial position, so that you don't need to limit out of your entire position, but you could scale out, say, of half of the position in that fashion.
And the idea, what Brad is saying, is simply we're just automating all the manual steps that the brokerage industry has built in to make itself more complicated, so that you end up not doing anything with it. Brad, can we show the max P&L time? That's something that I love in terms of just being able to, because again, people don't quite know how all of this works. But so imagine people say to us, "Damn, Brad, like when the Fed doesn't announce," is that the case?
Well, to be quite honest, the high was really about noon, you know.
Okay, well, you know.
But what was your question?
Well, what I'm saying is that we're constantly nudging people or knocking or like tapping their shoulder to give you suggestions. For example, max P&L time, you will be able to see in the future when on average. So right here, we're giving you exact max P&L time, but we're going to give you on average what time have you been having the best P&Ls cumulatively throughout your trading day, so that maybe you're kind of prodded to take some action. Like, hey, I'm at this time where usually my P&L is on highs. Maybe I'll take half off the table and let the rest run to see if it'll, you know, finish up even higher. These are things that we, because of our server technology, are able to do, and then we're able to let you see it in ways that, again, are not available anywhere else. So all of this technology is being done for you, and the requirements of this that we have put in here, this is what's really cool, is they're kind of being created on the fly as we use our own tech. Can you imagine a brokerage focus group trying to do this? Well, you shouldn't try to imagine it, because it could never happen. You know, Brad, how many things have we put in here that we didn't even know needed to exist when we started?
Yeah, I know. It's a complete process, right? It's something that, well, it's a labor of love, and there are a ton of things, without a doubt.
Well, that's really what kind of takes what we're trying to do here to the next level. Brad, go down to the channel called Active Trading. You know, I want to showcase a little bit of just how many different things we have and all the kind of things that we have for you, where you can peruse and then not be stuck on the configuration, because that's where most people are stuck at. Most people are stuck at the tinkering, and we're trying to get you into the data, the trading. So here we have two windows at the bottom: biggest bounces on losers and biggest pullback on winners. This is some of the easiest stuff to do in trade ideas, but some of the most overlooked things in terms of viability. So using our filter technology, we're simply trying to show you, like, look, here's a stock, it's bouncing, and this could be an opportunity for you to do either of the thing that you wanted to do. You can go in the direction of the overall trade, like short it again as it's bouncing, or you could try to reverse it. Same thing with the pullbacks on winners.
I think this really does. This illustrates the flexibility of the technology. And I know that Ernie was asking a question about kind of the basic tools and not so much Brokerage Plus. And this is a good example of our top list windows. Before I drill into these two windows, Dan, I want to show something maybe a little bit more basic, right? Something that, so let me just kind of like open up a basic gainers window here. So like gainers, top percentage daily gainers, just a basic window, right? This is what most people would look at a top list and get information from. Okay, what stocks are up the most today, right? And that's the simple stuff that you can do. And of course you can do that. But when you take a look at what we've done here, like biggest pullbacks on winners, we're taking a list of stocks that are biggest gainers, yet we're looking at something that has moved down, you know, a great amount. And that's part of the special data that I was talking about earlier that we create. The change over 30 minutes. You know, who has that? That's not really a common data point. That's something that we put together, and we have so many hundreds of different data points like that. whether it's volume over the last 30 minutes.
Whether it's Bloomberg or Goldman Sachs or some other sack of Bloombergs, it doesn't matter. These big companies do not have our data, and we've never been for sale. We've never given them our data. They do not have this information. I know it sounds crazy, right? The big guys who have everything, they don't have everything. And part of the reason that they've never sought to it is because they never wanted to speculate. They only like to cheat and win. When Brad and I used to always joke about how back in our other life, when we were trying to sell a version of this technology in 2000 to the hedge funds, what we found out is hedge funds don't like to trade. Right, kid?
They really don't like to look at their portfolio.
Oh yeah, they don't like that stuff either. We were saying, look at this information. We can help you make decisions. They were like, get that away from me. That makes me nervous. Brad and I had to kind of huddle back. We're like, did you hear what that guy just said? Are we in the right business? And that's basically how Trade Ideas started, in a nutshell. But the individual, right? You guys here are self-directed. You already taken the steps to know that critical thinking and making your own decisions are critical. Therefore, there's no going back. Now you just need the best technology to get you to where you need, and this is us. And we're saying this by far, okay? So regardless of being able to channel surf, the reason I had Brad bring this up, right, is because you don't have to know, much like what I use as an example of the actuator in the car, you do not have to know exactly how to do all of this to get value from it. Look, biggest pullback on winners, you know what that means. It's a stock that is up big for the day, but is pulling back. Or bounce on losers is a stock that's down for the day and is moving up. It's that simple. And there's so many other, Brad, let's go to the earnings one.
We do some, hold on, because there's such cool stuff, like this multivariant color assisted sorting that we have here. It's a whole mouthful, but when you look at something like this pullback from winners, there are three guys that stand out, and they're standing out because this is color assisted based upon the change from the close. It's a gradient sort. So if I go ahead and sort it here, you can kind of see the gradient that's built into it. So it's lighter as it gets less, but the higher change from the close, it's darker. Then when you sort on something else, those other data points will shine out for you. So this here I'm sorting on this biggest pullbacks on winners, but stocks that are on a percentage basis closest to their high of the day. So it's just, you can manipulate this data in such a way that is super unique. And where do you want me to go down?
And well, I was going to say, and the key to that is really the last column, and that's why the sort order of that window is the 30-minute, the other way, yeah, down the most over 30 minutes, because we're saying, look, of all the stocks out there, BLNK,
just going to go to a time during the market, right? So that,
right. So here, right before the close, BLNK, which is up 11% at the moment, was down 5% over 30 minutes. You know, it had that big pullback. And that's what we are simply trying to give you a better heads up on. But then, again, if I may quickly switch.
Okay.
But did you want to show something, Brad?
I wanted to, yeah, because the active trading channel is a fantastic channel because it's got all of our different, well, not all of them, but a good number of our different visualization windows. This multi-strategy is a good example because we have this alert window right here. This is just a single idea. The turbo breaks up, it's just an idea. But what we've taken is a single idea, and in this case, we've got over 20 ideas, dropped it into this window container. So just a small container listening for or waiting for any of these ideas to occur, and in real time, it'll spit it out for you.
So in this particular case, I was going to say, let's go to the earnings channel, because people say, well, are you just about the technicals? And we really don't look at technicals versus non-technicals. It's really just a matter to us of data. What has the most statistical significance? So here you see up with earnings today. And just in general, earnings winners, you can see all of the things that are involved on the earnings side as it's happening. So I was just simply trying to say, Brad, that
yeah, you don't need to be confined necessarily to like the earnings channel to utilize the data, right? You can, like I said, you can modify anything, but I've taken that earnings data and incorporate it into the pre-market channel, because it does seem important to know if a stock that's gapping up or down is having earnings, you know, so you can really intermix and blend these different filters and column views to really achieve what you really want to look at.
It almost limited potential, and I would say that the analogy here is, and I don't want to scare anyone, but to the tune of Photoshop, most people just use it to make a basic picture, cut and paste. But if you want to get into the layers, and if you want to do lots of other things, all that information is available to you. Well, same here. You can get into like the programming aspect of trade ideas. You can get into custom formulas, but it's also as simple as, Brad, like for example, why don't you heart this and tell people what the heart is?
Yeah, so there are a couple different ways to kind of keep symbols at the top of your mind. You can create price alerts, you can create your own symbol list, your own portfolio stocks, or you can use what we've termed hearting a stock. By doing that, you just go ahead and select that heart on the chart. It'll go ahead and add it to your My Like symbol list, which you can get to super quickly. You can get to it through one of the channels. You can build a window and have it look at just that symbol list. It could be a top list. It could be an alert window, multi-strategy, any of those. Or you can just, like I said, click on that My Like symbol or My Like channel, and then every symbol in here that's in this particular channel has been something that I've clicked on. And if it's something I don't want to see again, I can just remove it like that. Saving windows, we really make it super easy to customize your own workspace. We make it easy to hit the ground running, but if you want to create your own, use some of these windows, use some of those windows to your own workspace. You can save it to your own custom channel. You can pin windows so that if I have this window and I really like it, I can set it up here on my desktop and go to another channel. It'll remain there. And this is one way that you can build that layout. You can save multiple windows to a cloud link. So if I just wanted these two windows and I wanted to share it with Dan, I could just right click. I could go save or share to cloud. And let's grab the two windows that I want. I want the pre-market movers and I want the My Like symbol stream. So I'll just select both of those. And I'll just go to Windows for Dan. I can save and share it. And I can then just copy this link right here and then throw it over to Dan in a messenger or an email, something like that. And that's a great way to collaborate amongst your trading community. Or if you need support on something, you're building a window and it's not just quite right, you can go ahead and save it to a cloud, send it to support. We'll look at it. We'll know exactly the window contents, the filters that you're using, and send it right back to you with recommendations.
Brad, that kind of reminds me, go to our after hours channel just so people can imagine the flow of the data, right? You know, we don't stop when the market stops. We've got after hours going on as well. So here it is, and you can see it happening. Look, the big after hours mover, you got Facebook up a ton and many other names. So you're never out of the game in terms of seeing what is going on. Right, and it's just a click away. And of course, as we said before, you could right, you could move it up. They had earnings today, yeah. And all of these data points that we put in there are kind of like the data points that we already know are important ones already. So you have all the information at a glance. You know, you can see the float, the short float, how much it's up over 20 days, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just very important stuff. But the key, okay, is that you have not only the technology, which is superior bar none, but you have a complete education component that I'm going to start with. You know, going back to Brad, go down our channel bar real quick, and pull up that handsome Canadian face. Do you know who I'm talking about? There's only one person that's got a handsome Canadian face that we put right on the software. And it's not Gretzky, eh? No.
Okay.
Okay. It's Barry. And Barry Anderson, who's actually in our presentation here, helping you out on the questions and answers. Barry runs our trading room, which facilitates the kind of experience that goes from in full engagement to side window shopping, where you can see, well, okay, Dan and Brad are talking this stuff, but how do people really during the day interact with the software? Barry's there putting on his own trades, keeping the decor of the room properly, managed. And at the same time, there's a meritocracy of 500 to 600 people who are constantly engaging in the software and helping each other out. And this room is free. It is completely free because this is where people are not forced to do anything but can just observe what is happening. We, of course, as Brad is kind of perusing through all of this, you can see that there's so many more things. We have options data where we not only tell you unusual stock activity, but we show you unusual options activity. So you can see the percentage unusual options in terms of calls or puts. Anything that's important to note, we try to give you simple access without you having to do it all on your own. And that goes back to what I was saying before. So we have Barry's room, which is every day from Monday through Friday, giving you the kind of the hand-holding all throughout the day. But additionally, aside from this Wednesday Q&A webinar where you get to talk with the CEO and his golf assistant buddy, Brad, but we have a full university curriculum. Like Monday through Friday, there are various courses that you can sign up for in terms of trade ideas. So yeah, let's get into Brad to wind up. Let's show him that, and then let's get into the finishing of the PowerPoint. So here you have Trade Ideas University. Enroll in training, find education resources. So here you can see videos. You can see the different types of training that we have and various things that you can take advantage of. Whatever you want to do, there's a class for it, and you can just sign up for it. This is included in your subscription. Nobody has this. And they don't have this because nobody's got the kind of staff that we do that trades and also has expertise in the technology. It's just that simple, okay? So Brad is also showing you something else incredibly powerful, which is our web-based trade ideas. Now, people ask us, can this work on an Apple? And the answer, of course, is yes. But on the Apple, you have the web-based version, and Brad's kind of giving you a little drive-by-drive. Brad, you want to kind of show them what you're doing? It looks very similar, so it shouldn't be any surprise.
Yeah, we're trying to bring this web-based version in total parity with our application, and we're pretty close to it. There are a few things that it doesn't have. You don't have Brokerage Plus, and you don't have price alerts yet, but a lot of the other stuff has been ported into it, and it's super robust. These are all free-floating windows. This is a window that I could move around, but if I want to pop anything out, I can do that, and just create my own desktop, my own look and feel, and the cloud links share between the two programs, so you can create a layout in one, port it on over, vice versa. So super proud of this, and it's starting to get a lot more traction.
And you can use this on an iPad, on an Apple, and we're working to make it even mobile phone friendly soon. So you have all of that information kind of there for you. So let's finish up, Brad. We got 4 minutes left. For those of you who are not subscribers yet, please understand that we are a subscription-based business, okay? And for coming to our webinar today, we have a promo code, 15% off the first month or the year of trade ideas. The promo code is all caps, Holly Plus. And what we do here is we give you a visualization of what our software costs on a per diem, okay? Standard and premium. So how much money do you spend per day when you subscribe? And subscriptions are, of course, monthly or annually. But what does it cost per day to have artificial intelligence that's basically doing everything for you? And on the premium, if you're just paying premium monthly, the most expensive thing, then you're talking about a little bit of a Starbucks breakfast. You got your Frappuccino and maybe a feta wrap.
Frappuccino for breakfast.
Delicious. Or lunch, a little Subway lunch, one of the two. So this is how much it costs. And there's nobody that can afford to do this because we have our own tech. We've been building it from scratch since 2003. We don't use any Oracle. We don't use any Google. We don't use any whatever other people have to make. We had to make it all from scratch because nothing commercially viable was working for what we do, and which is why we have no competitors. I mean, there are
one
people
one thing most people don't know, right? We've got two sides of our organization. We've got our trader side, and then we've got our rocket scientist side. And there's really no exaggeration.
You never show the two mix.
Never the two, indeed.
But okay, let's go to the next slide. So this is the big thing. We typically do test drives throughout the year to give people a flavor of what we got. And this one starts February 4th, 2019. We really recommend that if you haven't done so, to go register for $8.88. You get everything for 5 days. Okay, this is an ability for you to test everything, feel it out for virtually no cost whatsoever, and get the full benefit and see if this is right for you. If you don't think it's right for you, we don't want to push you into it. This is not a high-pitched sales thing. People come to us because they know they need it, not because they...
Yeah, and one of the things, Dan, is we don't offer trials, right? So we don't offer demo accounts for people to test drive it. That's why we do this quarterly. So every 3 months, we allow this type of test drive to occur. And it's good because we have a full to assist everybody that's just starting out or having questions. It works out much better than letting people just take a demo of it.
100%. So that's trade-ideas.com, test drive, and you get that for 5 days. Then, of course, this is going back to Barry's trading room, trade-ideas.com/trading room. And we do a Friday podcast where myself, Jamie, and other people from our company and guests, we kind of do our Q&A is also not very formal, but we stick to things that are, let's say, tangible. In the podcast, we go all sorts of off limits, out of bounds kind of stuff. But we've been having very good reviews of what we do, and people generally like to tune in. And we hope that you sign up for it and subscribe and check us out. It's just another way for you to feel what we're all about and the humanity of everybody that's involved in Trade Ideas. I've kind of covered this before, Brad. Whatever you do, don't click on that link. You know how we like to click on our own link, but we have a free ebook for people to learn how to take advantage of the downside. Remember, I was showing you that I had an awesome day trading things to the short side, because if you don't do it, you're missing out on a lot. Now, the market's been running up, but I guarantee you it will come down also. And you want to be prepared for that and take advantage and not be sitting there with a thumb in your mouth going, when is it going to turn around?
Yeah, only in a solid bull market can you buy those dips every single time. And, you know, when the market's not in that bull run, buying the dips doesn't work every time. So you do have to be nimble.
And this is, again, all free for you to take advantage of. Also, while the CEO of Trade Ideas is banned from all social media because of his patriotism, there are other venues for you to follow on Twitter. At Trade Ideas is our corporate account. At QuantBot, it's Mr. Jamie Hodge, who's our superb trader / educator extraordinaire, and his good friend at Today Trader, Steve Gomez, same. Please like us on Facebook. We appreciate that. And you can always get a hold of us at that number, or shoot us an email at info@trade-ideas.com. We are grateful for the time that you give us. Without you guys, we would have probably never been able to succeed. We would have had to go and raise money, which basically means selling your soul, and we're not in that business. We like to keep it on the up and up. We're in the game for the long haul to win it, and we're winning it with you guys. Thank you for your time. This will be recorded. Scott, I think we're all good.
Indeed we are. We will have a recording up later on tonight or tomorrow, and you keep an eye out for an update from GoToWebinar with a link to that playlist. Hopefully we'll see you everyone. Test drive next week.
See you soon.
Thanks all. Bye.
Bye.